I'm Brendan Orr, and this is SEO in 2023 Additional Insights.
Brendan, what's your additional insight for SEO in 2023?
It's going to be about embracing AI, but be smart about it.
Be smart about it. Okay. What is being smart? How should we embrace AI content?
Okay, so I think to start off, I've seen one of your guests that came on, Julia from Content at Scale. I think she has already covered like her whole craft framework and the AIO process, but I'm doing something similar to that, but I'm speaking from a solo creator perspective, a solo blogger. So the problem with AI, basically AI models, what they do is just predict the next word. So there's a set of training data. And they're trained on a bunch of different words all over the internet, from wiki, different PDFs, blog articles, everything. So whenever you do a prompt, whenever you ask ChatGPT or any of these software tools to create an article for you, the one-click articles, at best, at the very best, you're gonna get, even if they scan the top articles on the SERPs, you're only gonna get an article that matches those at the top. So in my opinion, that doesn't add any additional value to the internet. Readers don't get anything extra. Mm-hmm. And a lot of companies, a lot of bloggers, they do just that. So what I tend to do is, actually a few months back when I started my blog, that was what I used to do. I would try to use AI to write everything. But now, over the past few months, I've, read a bit about SEO, gotten more into the industry. I've tried to apply most of my marketing knowledge and learnings into the content itself. So as what Google has said, the EEAT, experience, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. So you can't get that from AI content. So no matter what you do, you can't get that. So I tend to write like a copywriter, so I would, I'm on Twitter a lot, so I follow a lot of copywriters. So how I do it is like, I tend not to use a lot of commas, and I learned that actually from Brian Dean. So Brian Dean, back when he was writing a lot of like all the backlinko stuff, he has notoriously said that he has spent about 100 hours on per article, and he said at best he could only get one article out per month. And now we have all these people with AI, pushing out 20, 30 articles a day.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, how are you able to maintain the quality if you are an individual blogger like myself? So I tend to write like a copywriter. I tend to, infuse a lot of humor. I tend to also fact check, add in a lot of statistics, add in analogies. What else? Add in expert insights. Sometimes I'll just take quotes from people online and then quote them. So these are some of the things that I do, to actually add more value to my pieces. Okay,
so what is your process in terms of involving AI in the generation of your content? I mean, I assume that you do. So you do some kind of sketch, maybe for your article to begin with, and then get AI to write it, and then you edit it yourself afterwards.
Okay, so initially, a few months ago, because right now I'm working with quite a few freelance writers, so I'll just tell you what I did back then. So do you want to know what I did back then or right now?
Maybe what's changed about what you do compared with the past, yeah.
Okay. So right now I don't use any of these AI tools that offer one-click generation articles. I just don't, because I've tried a bunch of them. It just, for me, it doesn't work out. Even a lot of them, they say, they have a bunch of different proprietary language models, and they scan the SERPs. And a lot of them, include a lot of semantic keywords and everything. But I just noticed, no matter how good I prompt it, the language, the way the sentences are structured is just, it still feels very robotic. So I just don't do that at all. The only time I actually use AI is actually when I'm crafting my FAQ sections. Yeah, so because for those one-off questions, those long tail keywords or definition questions, I will use AI to craft them, because to get the rich snippet, I tend to observe a lot of the featured snippets tend to have very direct answering, but usually only in the first few sentences. So first 30 to 50 words, I would generally use AI, but I'll still tweak a little bit, and then everything that follows, I'll write it myself. Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, so for the search engines, for a bot called the search engine, you will actually use AI to generate that content and then write more manually underneath. So it certainly is a decent use of AI, but it seems like a fairly manual process for the rest of your article. Do you envisage that changing over the coming 6 months or so? Do you think you're going to use AI more as part of the main body of the content in the future?
I do foresee myself using that only once we have reached the point where I can train AI using my own writing
Your
style.
voice. Yeah.
And a lot of products, yeah, correct. A lot of products now are saying that you can do it. Even like Jasper or Write Sonic, you can actually now put in a lot of your own company's data, but they can't really replicate the tone to the T. It's not perfect. And the way I write is very personal. So I really have a conversation with the reader, and I replicate a lot of the writing on Twitter, from Twitter, because I follow a lot of copywriters on Twitter, a lot of one-man businesses, solopreneurs, and the way tweets are structured, you have to keep it within 280 characters, and you just have to be very straight to the point, direct, answer the query, keep it entertaining, and that's the only way to keep the reader engaged. And you'll see how that pans out. All the engagement you get on tweets, whether the likes, the retweets, the shares, that shows people are actually interested in what you're trying to say. No matter how good AI is, I just can't get that from a 2,000 or 3,000 word article. There's just no way. So I don't mind writing, for now. But for now, I do work with freelancers. So I've taken a huge load of content writing. I've pushed that away to freelance writers, and I've specifically told them, if you want to use AI, that's fine, but you have to put in the human touch as well. But even then, no matter what they do, because everyone has different styles, and this is even giving them a content brief with my full editorial guidelines. Everyone has just a different style, so eventually I'll still need to come in and edit it myself. So that being said, like I have mentioned, I use AI to write certain areas of my article, like mainly the definition, what is, or FAQ sections. But the whole body of the article, I don't mind writing it myself, because that should be my authoritative piece. It should be me talking, sharing my insights, sharing my experiences, sharing the stuff that I've learned, in it, so people can get unique value and useful value, rather than just copying whatever that's on the top 3 on Google page 1. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you don't mind if your outsourced writers use AI. So why don't you just use AI directly yourself? Are you getting your outsourced writers to also edit the AI text in more of your own voice?
Oh, yes. No, I mean, when I say I don't mind them using AI, I said they can use AI, but make sure they edit it to my guidelines.
Okay.
So even because I understand that if you're a writer and you're staring at a blank piece of paper, you're just staring at a blank piece, you're gonna get writer's block. You just can't think as well. The ideas don't flow. The structures don't flow the sentences don't flow as well. So I don't mind if they want to use AI to get the first initial draft out, or just answering certain queries, getting just a paragraph out. But you have to edit it up. So because AI tends to be very fluffy, there's a lot of, they tend to use a lot of like conjunctive adverbs, like as mentioned above, or as all these like random words, random phrases you can just totally cut out, like even words like that. I realized you can just cut that out. Sometimes you don't even need to be grammatically correct. AI tends to be grammatically correct, and I try not to even use commas as well, just to make it more punchy. I tend to ask questions. So I tell all my writers to do that. But sometimes, they don't get it. They don't get it right. They try to be overly enthusiastic. They try to, include a lot of exclamation marks. Or they try to be a bit too flowery with the language. Sometimes even I don't understand what they're trying to say. It's a bit too complex. So I do have, some guidelines for them. But when they deliver the article, I still do, I make it a point to go through and just edit all the stuff myself.
And in terms of software, do your writers use GTP4? Do they use Jasper, something else, or do you not mind?
I think I tell them you can use if you want. I don't explicitly ask them, because I don't want to make them feel like I'm being too micromanaging. So, but based on what they deliver, I can tell some of them do, some of them don't. Yeah.
Okay. So I find it intriguing that maybe 3 or 4 months ago you were probably using AI more to write the full article than now. You want to add more of a personal touch and use AI for certain elements. Is there a place within a website's SEO to use AI more? I mean, for instance, would you use AI all the time to generate page titles or meta descriptions or product descriptions on a website? Or would you always use humans to do that?
Okay, good question. Yeah, I think for me, the only times where I would consider using AI completely would be for possibly landing pages. So, and if they're not being indexed on Google. So that's the only time where I'll do it. Even when talking about generating page titles, because most of the time I'm optimizing for just one particular keyword. So if it's a long tail keyword, there's really not much room, the AI can just generate to fit the 60 characters so that it doesn't get cut off. Yeah, so most of the time I'll still just write it myself. I mean it's just 60 characters, right? So it doesn't take much effort to do it.
So long tail keyword phrases that perhaps have the potential just to bring in maybe 10 to 20 visits per month from search engines. That's a good opportunity for AI, to use AI to generate the content. But if you're writing blog posts that you hope to rank higher for more competitive keyword phrases and have many people interacting with it, you would perhaps use AI a little bit for certain elements, but certainly not the whole article.
Correct. Yes. Like I was talking about landing pages, right? Like because I feel that AI writers do in fact actually write better than normal copywriters, like average copywriters. They still don't beat the good ones, because to write copy, I think you need to you need to really think about the person reading it. So it's a lot about a lot of psychology around it. But AI copywriting can be it can be very engaging. So if you really have no experience in copywriting, that could be a very good use case for AI. So on landing pages, when you're trying to just funnel people down all the way to your CTA. So I think that's pretty good. So yeah, like product pages.
So it's a warning about using AI content cautiously. You can still utilize it, but be aware of its limitations. Be aware of how many visitors are likely to engage with that content. And if it's a high volume page, then use humans.
I think, yeah, I mean, on the surface, that's a very good way to think about it. But I think there's also, two sides of the camera, right? Some websites have actually ranked with pure AI content. So I'm not sure if you have heard about this. Like in the past few months, there was this case study going around. Is this website? It was actually covered by Matt Diggity. He invited the founders on. So the website is called Conchows. So they started, I think, only a few months back, and in less than 2 to 3 months, they were getting about $19,000 a day in earnings and about 6 million monthly search traffic. But within like a month, because it was getting so much traction online in the SEO community, Google just gave a manual penalty. They got shut down. So I think that proves that you can rank with 100% AI content. Because I went over to the website, everything they wrote is all gibberish. it was literally, I mean, it was legit words, not like back in the day where Kyle Roof.
Mm-hmm.
He actually ranked the whole website based on Lauren Ipson. So that's totally different. But these guys, they were just generating articles. I think they were saying they were publishing about a few hundred a day. I'm not sure how. Yeah, these guys on Conchows.
So just because it's possible and just because it's effective doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do, certainly for the medium and long term.
Definitely not, because Google Google has already mentioned that even though they are not putting a penalty, they're not using AI generated content is not illegal. But I think a lot of people tend to take that for granted and just try to try to push their luck. But I don't want to reach a point, because I spend so much time, so much money hiring freelance writers. I'm sure a lot of companies also as well outsource. A lot of agencies work with their own freelance writers. They spend a lot on content. So at any point when any Google update, I don't want to be affected. Google can just flick the switch one day and just decide, oh, okay, anything above a certain percentage or even a certain percentage of AI, or if they have their own in-house AI content detector, that could totally just destroy websites overnight. I don't want to be placed in that situation.
So you've shared what SEO should be doing in 2023. Now let's talk about what SEO shouldn't be doing. So what's something that's seductive in terms of time, but ultimately counterproductive? What's something that SEO shouldn't be doing in 2023?
I think this might be a very controversial subject, but I think because there's this topic on this sub niche on SEO on what's it, holistic SEO, or I forgot what is it called, entity SEO. People are placing so much emphasis. It's like the next best thing since sliced bread. They think that if they master this, they're gonna master everything. I don't have enough experience to speak about in depth about this topic, but to me it seems like this is the 80% to get 20% of the results. So I think that's something that people shouldn't spend so much time on. People should just be focusing on the fundamentals. I mean, take me for example. I started my blog 6 months ago, and I didn't really know much about SEO then. And right now I'm getting about like 16,000 visitors a month. I've gotten on your podcast. I've gotten backlinks from some high DI websites. I publish what I think is good content from my perspective. Just constantly doing getting the fundamentals right. All the basic on-page SEO, building backlinks and everything. And that's gotten me quite decent results. And I think a lot of people can just focus on that instead.
Well, there we go. That's the results speak for themselves. Nothing to 16,000 visits a month in 6 months, and that's in a crowded marketplace. That's with the millions of blogs that exist out there. So it's certainly so possible to do.
It's a millions of blogs, with no niche, with covering digital marketing, AI content. I'm covering even Notion topics right now. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Brendan is founder and editor-in-chief at BrendanO.com. That's BrendanAW.com. Brendan, thanks so much for adding your additional insight to SEO in 2023.
All right. Thank you, David.
I've been your host, David Bain, and you've been listening to SEO in 2023 Additional Insights, a majestic series that complements the original SEO in 2023 podcast, video series, and book. Find out more over at SEOin2023.com.